On this episode of the podcast, I have with me John Coles. He is the VP of Data Science and Analytics at ACV Auctions. We're going to be talking about balancing profit, ROI, and innovation, right? Initiatives that the company's undertaking to extend capabilities, bring in change. We're going to be diving into how do you prioritize those goals? How do you actually measure some of that ROI? And also, what happens to staff when you are doing things that are new? How do you upskill? How do you take the time? And we're going to kind of talk about how you empower your team to actually have the opportunities to break into new areas. John, I appreciate your time. Thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about the time we get today and this topic, because setting up the right environment for your teammates is absolutely key to profitability and long-term success.
Awesome. Before we start, I always like the audience to know a little bit about the company, ACV Auctions. Tell us what you guys do at a high level.
When I joined 5.5 years ago, I had that same question. What is it that ACV Auctions does? And I learned about the automotive wholesale industry, the dealer-to-dealer market for transacting used vehicles is a massive space in the United States and across the world. The total addressable market just 5 years ago was over $5 billion annually. And how we've entered that market, if you think about eBay, this is a really a private version of eBay with a deep description of incredibly valuable assets in a used car. And unlike eBay, every used car is different. It has its own story, its own history. How we tell that story in real time and drive marketplace engagement to get the best price, the most profit for that car on the sell side, the most transparency on the buy side is something that drives our team every day. So at ACV Auctions, we price, market, merchandise, and move wholesale vehicles. And now we've expanded even broader to supporting our dealer partners with inventory management, stocking models, inventory acquisition out to consumers, and inventory merchandising back to consumers for that new retail sale at the end of that life cycle.
Very interesting business. Obviously, you brought the analogy to eBay. I think that gives people a frame of reference. And I think it kind of ties into my first question. I've been talking to guests recently more and more about this concept of where engineering fits at a company, right? I think when people think traditionally about the FANGs, they think about the Googles, those type of companies, the Apples, they're thinking a certain type of technology innovation. You guys are doing something remarkably interesting. It's a business model. It seems like there's a lot of dynamic components. It sounds as much of a technology company as any. Obviously, your product is a lot of physical inventory potentially. When you think about, and you've been there for 5 years, when you think about what technology, what engineering means at the org, where does that fit within the construct of the company?
We are a data-driven and technology-first company at our core. As much as possible, we don't own the car at any point in the life cycle. We help connect people in a real-time, digital, and in some cases, physical spaces. Engineering and technology is critical to everything we're doing. And when we were founded 10 years ago, we took a data-first approach. We started storing and surfacing high quality data on both sides of a transaction. And so when I think about, how we move forward, how we leverage technology for our advantage, one of the most important things is giving context and flexibility to your staff. That pair of context and flexibility is so key. And there's a lot of ways that we can empower and drive forward engineers, but the speed at which technology moves, we as leaders can provide context and empower them, but we won't know the most recent technology that came out that was delivered in every one of our teammates' spaces. And that's where empowering them with hackathons, summits, tech talks, the ability to share their ideas in a safe space and then weave it into your long-term strategy is critical to maintaining and building a competitive edge.
I guess to unpack, you said data first, and I think that was interesting because as you're talking about context and flexibility, data first to me, and feel free to clarify or correct, but I think as we're talking about this, if the business is built with the context and vision of being data first, you've given your teams now 10 years later that opportunity to be flexible because the business has been modeled differently, right? And obviously we could draw comparisons to companies that are older that might not have had that opportunity. And obviously they have their own unique constraints and also opportunities that they can deal with. But I guess in the case of ACV, with that data first, with that vision of, hey, we're going to capture more of this data, we want more of these data points. When you think about the flexibility and you're thinking about innovation, you mentioned hackathons. Where does the company lie in terms of how much innovation you're working ahead against versus, hey, we still have to deliver a lot of the immediate business needs?
When I say data first, and then I'll go straight to that hackathon question, because it's a core part of our culture in ACV product, data, and technology. So when I say data first, it wasn't capture data with the hope of at some point creating value. It was, as we create value for our customers, capture the underlying data for current and future use cases. So, always, you've got to make money, you've got to keep growing as a business, but the way you do it in a data first manner to make sure you capture that for current and future use cases is so important in your development lifecycle and your journey as a company. On the hackathon side, we're so proud of our hackathon culture. We have biannual hackathons, and we take a whole week where we actually set up a kickoff. There's pitch meetings that happen in the weeks leading up to the hackathon. Then you've got a kickoff day and 3 full days of development. So it gets you to 24 hours, but it's been built into how we plan and execute across our overall product roadmap. This is the hackathon week. There's innovation happening. And then we present those ideas and technology, and anyone can listen to the hackathon presentations, but the only people who can vote are participants. The only people who can highlight who wins, what worked well, what was interesting. It's not driven by how well did it connect to a business priority that an executive cares about. It's driven by how well did you capture an idea and innovate off of it in a meaningful way in a short time period that other developers and peers and participants respect and understand. That space for innovation that's teammate led is so important to providing the building blocks for that longer term product roadmap strategy and the midterm for how you turn all the data that you've been collecting as an off gas of a productive business, how you turn all of that into your next generation of products and services. You need to give your team the space and the right ingredients to try, find, fail, and be advocated for by their peers and recognized.
I love the vision behind the hackathons and the actual end goal, right? Because I think it's interesting that people that are participating are the ones that are having a voice. I guess maybe if you can kind of dive deeper, I'd like to understand a little bit more. When we're talking about these hackathons, you're talking about trying to drive unique capabilities within the company. From the engineering perspective, from the people actually involved in the hackathons, where are they seeing their ideas sit within business goals, right? Obviously, and the reason I'm asking is engineers are great at problem solving. they get in, they get granular, they break down problems, they deliver solutions. And now we're asking them, hey, I want you to think about bigger problems that are not necessarily in your day-to-day that you're working on. Do they have that vision? Are they, through your guidance, through engineering leadership guidance, are they being the understanding of, hey, here's how those problems would fit into the company? Or is it a case of we just want to see what problems they think they can solve and let them surface those?
Yeah, it's much more that latter. Let's see what problems they think they can solve or what technologies they want to try exploring for something that has nothing to do with our business today. When I talked about that context and flexibility, it's incumbent on me and other leaders to provide that context and excitement prior to the hackathon so that our teammates can decide. They have flexibility. They can work on something that has nothing to do with our core business. And if they find and apply a technology uniquely to our business or to an interesting other problem, their peers will celebrate it and surface it. And one of the things we do to close that feedback loop, we can have that decision space, that flexibility in the hackathon. The winners of the hackathon actually get announced and give a presentation on our company call to close that loop on flexibility, meaning, visibility, and impact. We then loop it back and give time in our company calls to highlight our winners. And it's incumbent on our product owners to then connect it to our roadmaps where there's value. And it's been a tremendous partnership of new ideas and opportunities on all sides.
Is there thoughts around, obviously, hackathons, their downtime, they get scheduled in, it makes a lot of sense. Is there thought around the frequency increasing, resulting in more innovation, better end results? Or is it a case of, hey, listen, even if we came up with innovation, we still have to incorporate in the roadmap. We still have to make sure that we have the right skills, we have the right problems at solving. I guess because somebody would probably go, well, innovation is great, why not more? And obviously that's not really how things work. But I guess just to pose the question, would more hackathons technically result in a better state, or is there actually, like I state, some complications that more hackathons necessarily are not going to help?
That's a great question. So I was chatting with some partners earlier today on the importance of working in three areas. The first is R&D, creativity, innovation. The second is translation of that into a platform level capability that enables future growth. And the third is product delivery to a customer and turning it into revenue, efficiency gain, PR, whatever the opportunity is. I think the right cadence is highly dependent on the combination of the industry and technology stack, the team that you have, and your current opportunities in front of you. So where you live in the industry and the stack, what team and culture you have, and then how you capitalize on those efficiently in the months and years ahead. I think at ACV, we're always open to trying new things, experimenting. I could tell you more. Should we do it more often if once we finish the next one and get the teammate feedback, right? Right now, I think that biannual cadence for us, for our culture, for those three areas I mentioned, it's a good cadence for right now, but we are always open to listening to our teammates and our customers and seeing what else we need to do.
Absolutely. I like that. And I guess, with the hackathons, with the innovation, obviously certain features are selected, certain products are put into the roadmap. Talk about the roadmap, because I guess, is there or has it happened? Maybe it's a better question. Has it come up? Has it happened where, hey, something has been such an interesting end outcome of a hackathon that the roadmap has to be revisited because now we're looking at something that we hadn't seen before?
Yes, is the emphatic answer. I mean, some of the product partners we work with do a tremendous job of thinking about, multiple quarters, years in advance. Where are we going? But when we talk about what is the highest impact thing we can do for our customers today, one of my product partners, Fred Collins, he's focused on a 6-week sprint, a 6-week time cycle, and wants to make sure that there's always room for evergreen ideas to be proposed, pressure tested, and then look at a midterm reprioritization. Because going back to, we can't just be data first for the theory of data. We have to actually make money. So making sure that those technologies, those innovations are capitalized on, we're always open to those discussions, and our teammates have a strong voice in how we prioritize as we think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's when I talk about hackathons with teams, depending on the size, depending on the type of org, it actually means such radically different things. And I think in what I'm hearing from how you guys are running it, it seems like there is, you go back to the context and flexibility. It seems like even in the partnership with the product team, there's intentional flexibility built in, which is really interesting, because I think sometimes people run a hackathon and do end up with really interesting components, but they are just kind of just loose pieces, and now you have to figure out where to put them, find the right business case for them. In this case, it seems like you guys have a very systematic approach to that. And I guess the offshoot of hackathon sometimes is coming up with something that is testing capabilities, that is a new technology somebody want to play with, and all of a sudden, hey, this is a great idea. We just don't have necessarily the skills to address or be able to take advantage of it. When you do come up with that type of solution that's been thought through on these hackathons, what happens to that upskilling piece? Like, hey, this is great, we're going to take advantage of this technology, we see the potential. Is it who is responsible now for actually going and learning to implement in an actual production setting?
That's a great question, and it actually goes back to that paradigm I talked about. You have to have space for R&D, space for platform development, and space for product delivery to our customers. It depends where the innovation is coming from, right? There's optimizations, right? New innovative optimizations in a product experience. That's one opportunity. There's new platform capabilities, somebody learns or tests. And then there's true greenfield R&D. The question about, who's responsible for it, it goes back to which roadmap does it best fit with, how you make that proposed trade-off, and then making sure that that team is staffed and supported to have ramp-up time and support to accomplish that goal. Before deciding, okay, how do we upskill the team? The question is, what's the ROI? Where does it fit in the timeline? And then you've got to make sure that the team is enabled to actually hit it. Not just told to do something, but enabled with the people, the time to ramp up, and the capability. Because insight without delivery doesn't result in value in a business. It's interesting, but it doesn't move you forward. So you've got to enable that team and give them ramp up time.
I guess within, you manage data science and analytics. Within that context, what are some examples of hackathon, I guess, projects that you guys typically work on?
So the team chooses what hackathon projects they work on, but a couple fun projects that we've seen before. Title processing is a tremendous challenge in the automotive industry. Did you sign it in the right place? Is it appropriate for this state? Did you put in the accurate information? Does it match other digital information? Enabling at scale document processing with business rules in a hybrid environment is something that a couple teammates led by Steve Simpson, Vamsi, a tremendous group of teammates, they pulled together in a week, figured out a rough solution, and that is our production solution today. And now we're refining it using current state technology like Google Gemini or others to refine it even further and get to 99.5 accuracy on those business rules and delivery. Another example, we always have customers that need the perfect unit the perfect car that's gonna sit on the corner and get sold in 15 days and get them $6,000, right? They're all looking for that perfect car. We are actively looking at a range of solutions to predict and hand place that car with those dealers. And those are areas that I'm so excited to see how we move beyond the tremendous recommendation and personalized recommendation services we have already. Because AI and ML capabilities, they've been around for years. How we optimize to the next level of confident guidance for our dealership, we're on the cutting edge. I'm so excited to see what my teams do in the hackathon in about 2 weeks in some of those areas.
When I talk to people on the data science side, and obviously they have their own R&D they do, because obviously it doesn't quite fit the software development lifecycle, right? It's not as seamless overlay. There are slight nuance differences in terms of that process. I guess when you look at your innovation, you look at some of where the team comes up with ideas. Do you guys sit at a different scope when it comes to interacting with the business side? And the reason I'm asking is when we think about hackathons and we're thinking about technical people solving different problems, you mentioned optimization, whether it's platform, the data science team has a unique vision of business. They get to see what moves the actual dollar. And I guess really what I'm asking is, does that give them a different perspective when they go tackle a project? Because they might see that this feature is going to actually have a dotted line to potential revenue, whereas it is a little bit harder maybe in other engineering disciplines to see that dotted line sometimes.
It's a great question. So one of the other areas that I get to lead at ACV is our analytics teams. And our product analytics teams aggressively, at my direction and under Darren Peters and my leadership team in that area, make sure to surface insights on a daily and weekly basis down to our product and engineering managers and the engineers themselves, so that they can see the impacts and the opportunities of that business area. Because to me, the majority of questions should be answered with basic insight before they're asked to support a data-driven team. To do that, you've got to have a good data analyst, analytics engineer that's embedded or partnered with those teams and regularly surfacing feedback about experiments that they ran in production, new ideas, pressure testing the roadmap on the ROI they're going to get out of it. Those conversations should happen with the engineering partners as well. And so, yes, the data science team and machine learning engineers, they can make step function improvements, but being a data-first company and making sure that our teammates have the context and the autonomy to solve those problems, it's part of our identity and how we want to lead and support our engineers to lead from wherever they are in our company.
John, I really appreciate you coming on, sharing, I think, some great insights, and I appreciate your time. If someone does want to connect with you, talk a little bit about how you guys run the hackathons, maybe a little bit more detail. I know we didn't exhaust the process and whatnot. What's a good way of connecting with you?
Yeah, please reach out to me at my LinkedIn profile or jcoles@acvauctions.com. Reach out to me. I'll connect you with some of our tremendous leaders in the hackathon committee. And it's our engineers who run that hackathon committee. But my LinkedIn profile or reach out to me directly by email, jcoles@acvauctions.com. And I'll connect individual teammates with individual teammates to have that teammate-driven hackathon culture set up.
Awesome, man. Thank you, John. Thanks for the time. Thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. That's it for the episode. I'll be back again, different guest, different topic. Until then, two things. One, I think John did a great job of walking us through being data first, understanding what context and flexibility means, empowering the technology team to actually come up with these innovations and where they fit in the context of the business. I think this is great. Please share this with somebody else who might find it interesting. Also, like, subscribe, comment. Let me know how the podcast is going for you. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.